Trust, it's fragile. One moment it's the foundation of everything. The next, it's shattered by the very person you thought had your back. I gave my assistant power, opportunities, and loyalty, but she wanted more. She wanted everything. And what she tried to steal nearly cost me my career. Until I turned her betrayal into her downfall. Let me take you back to where it all began. My name's Brooklyn. I was 32 when this happened, and at the time I thought I had my life under control. I was working as a senior marketing director at a mid-sized company in New York City. Long hours, back-to-back meetings, endless campaigns. It was hectic, but I loved it. I've always been the type to hustle. To show up early, stay late, and put in the work. But you can't do it all alone, right? That's where she came in, my assistant, Claire. She was in her mid-20s, ambitious, sharp, and for the first few months she was a godsend. Organized, eager. Always volunteering to handle the little fires that popped up. She reminded me of myself at that age, hungry, full of dreams, ready to climb. And I thought, this girl could really go far. So I invested in her. I mentored her. I shared my knowledge, gave her responsibilities most assistants never touch. She was more than just someone who fetched coffee or managed my calendar. She became my right hand. But sometimes when you give someone too much too soon, they don't see it as a gift. They see it as an invitation to take more than they deserve. It started small. Claire began suggesting changes in meetings, sometimes overstepping me, but I brushed it off. She's enthusiastic, I told myself. But then I noticed she'd take credit for things I'd brainstormed with her. Like one afternoon, I pitched her an idea for a rebranding strategy. The next day, she brought it up to the creative director as if it were hers. I laughed it off at first, even joked about it. But it stung. Then the subtle undermining began. Clients would email me thanking me for an excellent proposal. Only, I hadn't sent it. Claire had. And she signed her name first. I confronted her once. I said, "Hey Claire, make sure you're clear about who's leading these projects. Okay? I don't mind you stepping in, but transparency is everything." She smiled sweetly, nodded. And the very next week, she scheduled a meeting with our CEO without even telling me. Imagine my shock when I walked into a boardroom and she was already there, presenting my strategy deck like it was hers. The CEO looked at me, confused, like, "Wait, isn't this your job, Brooklyn?" I covered it up, played along, but inside, my stomach twisted. This wasn't ambition anymore. It was betrayal. And it kept escalating. She whispered to coworkers behind my back, sowed little seeds of doubt. Maybe Brooklyn's too busy. Maybe she's losing touch. Maybe I should take on more leadership. The worst part? Some people started to believe her. That's the thing about betrayal, it doesn't stab you in the chest. It seeps in like poison, until you're questioning yourself. The breaking point came when she went behind my back to secure a promotion, my promotion. The company was restructuring, opening a new executive role. I was the obvious candidate, years of results to prove it. But Claire? She submitted her own application using projects I had spearheaded. She even claimed leadership on campaigns where she'd only handled the admin side. That's when I stopped playing nice. I gathered every email, every file with metadata, every draft with my name on it. I had documented proof. While she was busy weaving her story, I was building my case. And when the executive team sat down to interview us both, I let her go first. She was confident, cocky even, talking about her accomplishments, her vision for the company. Then came my turn. I walked in with a calm smile, dropped a thick binder on the table, and said, "Before we continue, I think it's important to clarify who really did the work here." One by one I exposed her lies. I played email threads on the screen, highlighted documents, showed timestamps. And the room grew colder and colder for her. She tried to stammer excuses, but the CEO cut her off. "Claire, I think we've heard enough." That was it. In a single hour, the house of cards she built collapsed. She wasn't just denied the promotion. She was fired on the spot. When she packed up her desk, she couldn't even look me in the eye. And I'll admit it. There was satisfaction in that moment. Not because I enjoy watching someone fail, but because betrayal should never be rewarded. The company apologized for the chaos. I did get the promotion, and with it I rebuilt trust with my team. But the lesson stayed with me. Trust is precious. Mentorship is powerful. But if you give someone everything without boundaries, some will mistake kindness for weakness. It taught me to never ignore the small red flags, to address things head on, and most importantly, to always protect my own work. So, that's how my assistant's hunger for power became her downfall. If you were in my shoes, would you have handled it the same way? Or would you have confronted her earlier? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read them all. And if you've ever experienced betrayal at work, share your story. You never know who might need to hear it. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more true storytelling dramas, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new one. Because trust me, there are more stories like this than you think. You'd think after being fired she'd vanish. But betrayal doesn't die easily. Claire wasn't done with me, not yet. From the shadows she plotted her revenge. But here's the truth, the harder she tried to destroy me, the deeper she dug her own grave. Let me tell you what happened next. Last time I told you about Claire, my assistant who went from promising protege to power-hungry backstabber. She tried to steal my promotion, and when the truth came out she was fired in front of everyone. I thought that was the end of it. I thought I'd finally closed that chapter. But people like Claire, they don't just walk away quietly. 2 months after she left, strange things started happening. Anonymous complaints filed against me. Rumors spreading that I was difficult, even toxic to work with. And then somehow one of our clients suddenly pulled out of a deal we'd been negotiating for months. First, I brushed it off as coincidence. But deep down, I knew. This had Claire's fingerprints all over it. She was bitter, angry, and desperate. She couldn't accept the fact that she'd lost everything. Her job, her reputation, her shot at climbing the ladder. So what did she do? She started reaching out to competitors, whispering lies about me, sharing half-truths about campaigns she only partially understood. And she didn't stop there. She created fake accounts online, posting negative reviews about our company, even trying to smear my name on professional forums. Imagine waking up, checking your email, and seeing a thread accusing you of unethical practices, when you've spent your entire career building integrity. First I was furious. Then I was scared. What if people believed her? What if all my hard work went down the drain because of one bitter ex-assistant? But fear only lasts so long. Eventually, I decided to fight back. I didn't confront her directly. No. I knew someone like Claire would twist my words, play the victim again. Instead, I played smarter. I tracked the fake accounts. With the help of our IT security team, we traced the IP addresses. Guess what? All linked back to her apartment. I reached out to one of our ex-clients she had contacted, and he confessed, "Yeah, this Claire woman emailed me. Said you were impossible to work with." But honestly, the way she spoke, it sounded bitter, personal. That was all I needed. Armed with evidence, I filed a defamation report. Our legal department sent her a cease and desist letter, backed with proof that her online slander and interference with clients could lead to a lawsuit. When she got that letter, she cracked. She tried to play innocent, claiming it wasn't her. But the timestamps, the IP addresses, the screenshots, they told the truth she couldn't escape. And here's the twist. Her attempt at revenge didn't just fail. It blacklisted her. Word spread fast in our industry, and suddenly, no one wanted to hire her. She wasn't just fired anymore. She was finished. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't satisfying to watch her plans collapse. But it also reminded me of something important. The truth doesn't need to scream. It just needs patience. Claire thought betrayal and lies would make her powerful. But in the end, it made her powerless. As for me, I learned to protect my boundaries, to document everything, and to never underestimate how far bitterness can push someone. But I also learned this. Revenge doesn't always mean fighting fire with fire. Sometimes the smartest revenge is letting people destroy themselves with their own actions. So that's how my ex-assistant's revenge plan backfired, leaving her with nothing but her own bitterness. But let me ask you, if you were me, would you have gone after her legally? Or just ignored her and moved on? Tell me in the comments, I love hearing your take. And if you've ever had someone try to sabotage you, share your story. It might just help someone else going through the same thing. Don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe for more storytelling dramas, and ring that notification bell. Because trust me, when it comes to betrayal and revenge, I've got plenty more stories to tell. 5 years passed. I thought I'd never see her again. But one rainy evening as I was leaving the office, there she was. Claire. The woman who betrayed me, destroyed herself and disappeared, now standing in front of me, begging for forgiveness. But here's the question. Can you ever truly forgive someone who once tried to take everything from you? It had been years since Claire's downfall. After her smear campaign collapsed, she was blacklisted in the industry. Meanwhile, my life moved forward. I'd earned respect, built stronger teams, and even started mentoring young professionals, this time with clearer boundaries. Honestly, Claire became nothing more than a distant memory. Until that night. It was pouring rain. I was exhausted after a long day. And then, like something out of a movie, I saw her waiting near the entrance of my building. She looked different. Gone was the confident, sharp-dressed woman I remembered. Her makeup was smudged, her clothes wrinkled, and her eyes carried a kind of desperation that almost made me pity her. Almost. She rushed over the moment she saw me. "Brooklyn, please, just hear me out." I froze. Every memory of betrayal, every lie, every humiliation she caused me came flooding back. Part of me wanted to walk away without a word. But another part, maybe out of curiosity, let her speak. She confessed everything. How after she was fired, she bounced from job to job, none lasting more than a few months. How she tried to rebuild her career, but word of her betrayal followed her everywhere. Eventually, no one would hire her. She said she'd lost her apartment, burned bridges with friends, and now she was working odd jobs just to get by. "Brooklyn," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "I know I hurt you. I know I destroyed everything for myself. I just want a chance to make things right. Please, forgive me." I stood there, silent. My heart battled with my mind. Could someone like Claire really change? Or was this just another manipulation? Because deep down, I still remembered how convincing she could be. I agreed to meet her for coffee the next day. I needed to know if this was real. Over steaming cups, she laid it all out, her regrets, her failures, her shame. She even admitted she'd envied me, hated me, because I represented everything she wanted but couldn't earn. For the first time, she was honest. Or at least she sounded honest. Then came the twist. She didn't just want forgiveness. She wanted me to help her get back into the industry. A recommendation. A bridge back to the career she'd lost. That's when the knot in my stomach tightened. Because forgiveness? That's one thing. But putting my name on the line for her again? That was a risk I wasn't willing to take. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Claire, I don't hate you anymore. I don't even think about you. But trust, once broken like that, it can't be rebuilt the same way. I forgive you as a person, but professionally, no. That door is closed." Her face crumbled. Tears streamed down. And just like that, I saw the final piece of her pride shatter. She left the cafe quietly. I never saw her again after that. Did I feel cruel? A little. But I also felt free. Because forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean reopening wounds. Sometimes forgiveness simply means letting go of the anger, without letting someone back into your life to hurt you again. That day, I learned something powerful. Compassion and boundaries can exist together. You can forgive someone and still say no. So that's how the story ended. Claire came back years later, broken and desperate, asking for forgiveness. I gave her closure, but not a second chance. Now I want to ask you, if someone betrayed you that deeply, would you forgive them? Would you give them another shot? Or walk away like I did? Tell me in the comments. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. And if this story touched you, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more storytelling dramas. Because trust me, real life has twists stranger than fiction. Some betrayals come from below, like an assistant trying to climb too fast. But the most dangerous betrayals? They come from those right beside you, your so-called equals. This wasn't Claire. This was someone smarter, sneakier, and far more powerful. And their plan could have ended my entire career. After everything with Claire, life at work eventually found its rhythm again. I had grown tougher, sharper, and more cautious about who I trusted. But in the corporate world, there's always another storm waiting. Enter Damien. He was a senior manager in another department, about my age, ambitious, charming, and dangerously persuasive. On the surface, we worked well together. We'd share laughs in meetings, swap ideas, even grab the occasional after-work drink. But beneath that charm was something else. Something I didn't see. Until it was almost too late. It started with small things like him offering to help with my projects. First, I was grateful. Collaboration was a good look, and he always seemed eager. But then I noticed the pattern. He'd volunteer for the easiest parts, just enough to attach his name to the project. And when the results came in, he'd present it like a shared success, even though the heavy lifting was all mine. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I thought maybe he just wants to be part of the team. Then came the promotion announcement. A new director of strategy role was opening up, a step above where I was. It was the kind of position that could change the trajectory of a career. And suddenly, Damien's helpfulness became something else. He started undermining me subtly. In meetings, he'd interrupt my points with, "What Brooklyn means is," as if I couldn't speak for myself. Emails I sent? He'd accidentally forget to forward them, causing delays. And behind closed doors, he whispered to leadership that I was overextended, that maybe I wasn't ready for more responsibility. Sound familiar? It was Claire all over again. But this time the betrayer wasn't desperate. He was calculated. One evening, I stayed late to finish a presentation. As I went to print it, the system flagged me. File already opened by another user. Curious, I checked the access log. And there it was. Damien had downloaded my draft hours earlier. The next morning, he presented it to leadership before I even walked into the room. I felt my chest tighten. But instead of exploding, I stayed calm. Because what he didn't know was, I'd anticipated this. After Claire, I'd learned to always protect myself. Every major file I worked on had hidden markers, subtle watermarks and metadata with my digital signature. Proof no one could erase. So when leadership questioned who really created the deck, I pulled up the metadata live. Date, time, author, all me. The room fell silent. Damien's face turned pale. He stammered excuses, but it didn't matter. The evidence spoke louder than his words. That day, Damien lost all credibility. Leadership pulled him off key projects, and while he wasn't fired, his reputation was scarred beyond repair. Me? I didn't just win the promotion. I earned something far more valuable, the respect of everyone in that room. And the lesson? Betrayal doesn't always come from the bottom. Sometimes it comes from those who smile beside you, shake your hand and act like your ally. But the truth? Betrayal always leaves fingerprints. You just need to know where to look. So now I faced betrayal from an assistant and from a colleague. Which do you think is worse, being stabbed in the back by someone you mentored, or by someone who pretended to be your equal? Comment your thoughts below. I want to hear your stories. And don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more storytelling dramas. Because trust me, in the workplace, drama is never far behind. When the dust settled, I thought about everything that had happened. Nathan's betrayal, his manipulation, the chaos he left behind. It all could have destroyed me. But instead, it became the very thing that rebuilt me. The company recovered faster than anyone expected. Once Nathan was gone, the tension in the office lifted. People actually smiled again in meetings. They weren't afraid of being undercut or thrown under the bus. For the first time in months, the workplace felt like a team again. But Nathan, his downfall was public, brutal, and permanent. Word got out across the industry about what he'd done, the deception, the backstabbing, the way he tried to climb by crushing everyone else beneath him. His name became toxic. Companies didn't want to touch him. He thought he was irreplaceable, but the truth? No one is. Especially not someone who poisons every environment they step into. I even heard from a former colleague that he tried to freelance, desperate for work, but clients kept pulling out once they Googled his name. His so-called legacy? It wasn't power, it wasn't success. It was a cautionary tale. For me, the lesson was crystal clear. Power built on lies, manipulation, and betrayal will always collapse. It might look strong for a while, but the foundation is hollow. I realized something else too. Strength isn't about controlling people or stepping on them to rise higher. Real strength is the ability to lead with integrity, to lift others up, and to survive the storms without losing yourself. And in the end, that's exactly what Nathan never understood. So yes, his betrayal hurt, shook me to my core. But it didn't destroy me, it sharpened me. It taught me to never ever let my guard down completely, but also to never stop believing in my own voice, my own values. If you take anything away from my story, let it be this: betrayal doesn't define you. What defines you is how you rise after it. Nathan fell because of his hunger for power. I rose because I refused to let his darkness consume me. So that's how it all ended. Nathan, the assistant who thought he could rewrite the rules, manipulate everyone, and climb over me, ended up losing everything. And me? I walked away stronger, smarter, and ready for whatever came next. If I've learned one thing, it's this: betrayal may shake you, but it doesn't have to break you. Sometimes the very people who plot against you become the architects of their own downfall. All you need to do is stand tall, stay true, and let time reveal the truth. I share this not just as a story of revenge or downfall, but as a reminder: your integrity, your resilience, your truth. Those are things no one can steal from you. Not even a power-hungry assistant. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, maybe a coworker, a friend, or even someone close to you? And how did you handle it? Did you fight back? Or did you walk away and let karma take care of it? Share your story in the comments below. Trust me, you're not alone. And your words might help someone else going through the same battle right now. And if you found this story powerful, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe for more stories like this, and ring the bell so you never miss the next twist-filled journey. Because life is full of lessons, betrayals, and comebacks, and together, we're here to uncover them all. This was my story. What's yours?